Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to topic 10. We're going to work on extending multiplication concepts to fractions. That means you're going to start multiplying fractions in this topic or in this chapter. So let's go ahead and hop into lesson 10-1, fractions as multiples of unit fractions. Now remember, unit or the prefix uni means one. So fractions as multiples of unit fractions, a unit fraction is one out of however many your total is. So a unit fraction always has a 1 in the numerator. It's telling you that it's one piece of your total, however much your total is. If it's 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 500, 1 out of 10,000. Those are all unit fractions because the numerator has a 1 in it. So let's go ahead and watch our video lesson. And we're going to learn how to multiply unit fractions times whole numbers. And this is a whole lot easier than you think it's going to be, because as soon as you start, you're going to see that multiplying unit fractions by a whole number means you just have a certain number of those unit fractions. So if you have 4 times, 1/5, you have 4/5 because you have 4 of those 1/5 size pieces, and so on. Let's go ahead and get started.
How can you describe a fraction using a unit fraction? Courtney ran 3/4 of the way to school. Describe 3/4 using unit fractions. A unit fraction is a fraction that describes one part of the whole. Unit fractions always contain the numerator 1. Decompose 3/4 into unit fractions. Which unit fraction should be used?
Select your answer.
Now remember, we said unit fractions are one piece out of the total. So here, when we look at our fraction, we're looking at 3/4. So we know 4 is the total number of pieces that we have. That means our unit fraction has to be 1/4.
When a whole is divided into 4 equal parts, each part is described as the unit fraction 1/4. Repeated addition can be represented as multiplication. Just as 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 3 times 6, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 3 times 1/4. 3 times 1/4 equals 3/4. Remember, 18 is a multiple of 6 because 18 is the product of a whole number and 6. So 3/4 is a multiple of 1/4.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our notes and our guided practice for this section together. Now, how can you describe fractions using unit fractions? So remember, we said a unit fraction is a fraction that describes one part of your whole. That means a unit fraction always has a 1 in the numerator. Remember, unit or the prefix uni means 1. So examples of unit fractions: 1/2, 1/3, 1/10, 1/15, 1/6, 1/7. Whatever it is, as long as there's a 1 in the numerator, it's a unit fraction. When a whole is divided into 3 equal parts, each part is described as the unit fraction 1/3. So if you divide it into 3 parts, your unit fraction is 1/3. If you divide it into 5 parts, your unit fraction is 1/5. If you divide it into 4 parts, your unit fraction is 1/4. Now, for our example, it says describe 7/8 using repeated addition and multiplication. So we're going to think of 7/8. How are we going to write it as repeated addition of unit fractions? So 7/8, we know that there are 7 out of those 8 pieces. So we need to write 1/8 7 times. So 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 will give us 7/8. Because remember, when you're adding fractions and you have a common denominator, your denominator stays the same and you just add your numerators. So if I'm using repeated addition, that means we're adding the same thing over and over again. We're doing 7 of our 1/8 pieces will give us 7/8. Now, if I want to write it as a multiplication, 7/8 is the same thing as saying 7 times my 1/8 size pieces. So I want 7 of those 1/8 size pieces. So 7 whole times 1/8 will give me 7/8. Now notice when you're multiplying, you're going to multiply a whole number times that fraction to find that other fraction. So my whole number times my unit fraction gave me the fraction I was looking for. Now here's my 1 whole, for example, to show you the size of 1 whole. Here are my 7 out of my 8 pieces. The 8th piece would have gone right here. So if I'm adding over and over again, I'm using repeated addition. We're going to do 1/8 added together 7 times to give us 7/8. Or I'm going to multiply by showing there are 7 of these 1/8 size pieces, which gives us 7/8. I can also show this using a number line. So if my number line is broken up into eighths, 7/8, I'm going to make 7 jumps that are 1/8 size piece to get me to 7/8. Let's try another example together. Write 6/2 as a repeated addition sentence and as a multiple of a unit fraction. So remember, multiple means you multiply. Unit fraction means 1 over whatever it is. So if we're doing repeated addition, we have 6 halves. So I'm going to have 6 of my 1/2 size pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my 1/2 size pieces gives me 6 halves, or 6/2. Now to make 6/2 using multiplication, I'm going to have 6 times my 1/2 size pieces. Let's take a look at a third example. Here we have a word problem. It says Mark slices 4/6 of a tomato. Each slice is 1/6 of the tomato. How many slices does Mark have? Write 4/6 as a multiple of 1/6. So 4/6, we're going to break it up into individual pieces. So 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 equals 4/6. Or I can write it as a multiplication and say 4 times, or 4 of those 1/6 size pieces put together make 4/6 altogether. Let's jump into our guided practice. Now our first question says, draw a picture to show why 3/5 is the same as 3 times 1/5. Now here we can look at this question right away and see that I drew out using my little shape over here, my rectangle, I split into 5 pieces and I colored in 3 of those pieces. So I have 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, which is the same thing as saying 3 times 1/5, or 3 of those 1/5 size pieces equals 3/5. For question number 2, it says, Mark's family ate 7/4 chicken pot pies for dinner. There are 7 people in Mark's family. Each family member ate 1/4 of the pie. So 7/4, those 7 people each got 1 piece. So we're going to write this as a repeated addition and as a multiplication. So 7/4, we're going to write it as 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7/4. Or I could write it as a multiplication as 7 times 1/4. So 7 of my 1/4 pieces gives me 7/4 pieces. For number 3, they're going to ask you to fill in the missing number in the box. So 2/3 is equal to what times 1/3? Well, we know there's 2 up here, so it's got to be 2. You're only multiplying here the numerator, so pay attention to that. Your denominator is staying the same. So 2 times 1/3 gives you 2/3. 5 times 1/6 gives you 5/6. 4 times 1/2 gives you 4/2. 6 times 1/5 gives you 6/5. So this is very similar to what we were doing with addition and subtraction. Your denominator is staying the same. Your numerator is the only one that's changing right now. All right, remember unit fractions are 1 over whatever it is. Unit fractions always have a 1 in the numerator. And when you're multiplying your whole number times your fraction to get your new fraction. Your numerator is the only number that's changing. Your denominator stays exactly the same. That's it for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.